Madam van der Leyen, you are indeed well aware.
There are moments in politics when words cut through the noise and land with a kind of clarity that cannot be ignored. That is exactly what happened when French member of the European Parliament Sarah Knafo stood up and directly confronted Ursula von der Leyen with a message that many believe reflects a growing frustration across Europe. Her statement was not carefully softened or diplomatically packaged. It was direct, it was confrontational, and it carried a deeper message about the current state of the European Union. When Knafo declared that European citizens are no longer interested in the internal processes of EU leadership, she was pointing to something far more serious than political apathy. She was describing a disconnect, a growing feeling among ordinary people that decisions are being made far away from them, behind closed doors, through processes they neither understand nor trust. This is not just about one election or one set of appointments. It is about the credibility of the institutions themselves. Her accusation of backroom deals and technocratic hypocrisy goes straight to the heart of one of the most persistent criticisms of the European system. Many citizens feel that the EU has become overly bureaucratic, overly complex, and increasingly detached from democratic accountability. When leadership decisions appear to be shaped more by internal negotiations than by public will, it creates a perception that the system is designed to serve itself rather than the people. And that perception matters. Because in any political system, legitimacy depends on trust. When people begin to lose trust, they disengage. They stop paying attention. They stop believing that their voices matter. That is exactly what Knafo was highlighting when she said that citizens are no longer even interested in who becomes a commissioner or why. It is not indifference for its own sake. It is a symptom of deeper disillusionment. What makes her statement even more powerful is the way she connects this loss of trust to leadership. By saying this is your fault, she is not spreading blame across a vague system. She is pointing directly at responsibility. In her view, the leadership of Ursula von der Leyen has shaped the current reality of the EU and therefore must be held accountable for its consequences. This idea of accountability is central to democratic governance. Leaders are not only responsible for their successes, but also for the failures and frustrations that emerge under their watch. When policies lead to widespread dissatisfaction, it is reasonable for elected representatives to demand answers. That is exactly what Knafo is doing, and it is why her words resonate with so many people. Her description of Europe as stifling, dangerous, and stagnant may sound harsh, but it reflects concerns that are increasingly being voiced across different countries. Many Europeans feel that economic growth has slowed, that innovation is being hindered by excessive regulation, and that political debates have become disconnected from real-life concerns. When people struggle with rising costs, job insecurity, or energy challenges, they want leadership that responds with clarity and practical solutions. Instead, critics argue that the EU often responds with more bureaucracy, more regulations, and more centralized control. This is where the tension between technocracy and democracy becomes most visible. A technocratic system relies heavily on experts, institutions, and administrative processes. While this can bring stability and coordination, it can also create distance between decision makers and citizens. Knafo's warning about turning Europe into a soulless and uninteresting space speaks directly to this concern. Europe has always been more than a political project. It is a continent defined by its cultures, its histories, and its nations. When political structures begin to feel detached from that identity, people naturally push back. Her speech is also notable for its forward-looking determination. She is not simply criticizing the past. She is making a commitment for the future. By stating that she will not allow leadership to operate freely without scrutiny, she is positioning herself and others as a form of political oversight. This is a fundamental part of democracy. Power must be challenged, questioned, and held accountable. The idea of being a spotlight on leadership is particularly important. Transparency is one of the most effective ways to rebuild trust in institutions. When decisions are made openly, when actions are explained clearly, and when leaders are willing to face criticism, citizens are more likely to feel engaged and respected. Knafo's message suggests that this level of transparency has been lacking. Her promise to expose and scrutinize decisions reflects a belief that too much has been happening behind the scenes. For many supporters, this is not about attacking the EU as an idea. It is about reforming how it operates. Another key part of her speech is the emphasis on truth. She states that Europeans want the truth, need the truth, and have the right to it. This is a powerful statement because it goes beyond politics and touches on a fundamental principle of governance. Citizens cannot make informed decisions or hold leaders accountable if they do not have access to clear and honest information. In an era where information is often filtered, framed, or politicized, the demand for truth becomes even more significant. Knafo is tapping into a broader desire among citizens for clarity and honesty from those in power. People want to understand not only what decisions are being made, but why they are being made and how they will affect their lives. What we are seeing here is part of a larger shift in European politics. Across the continent, more politicians are speaking openly about the need to reconnect institutions with the people. They are challenging the idea that complex governance must come at the expense of transparency and democratic engagement. Figures like Sarah Knafo are positioning themselves as voices for those who feel unheard. Whether one agrees with their approach or not, it is clear that they are responding to a real and growing sentiment among voters. At the same time, leaders like Ursula von der Leyen continue to defend the current structure of the EU, arguing that strong institutions are necessary to manage the complex challenges facing Europe today.